Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you know, I'm Stephanie. Today we're doing a very fun video, which I'm splitting this video into two parts, and as you read by the title, I'm doing my ultimate favorite books of all time. All of these books pretty much have 5 stars, and I have a huge pile here, but there's a couple that I need to remember to mention just because they're on display and I cannot reach them right now. And the reason I'm splitting this video into two is because right now we're doing just in general favorite books that could be like mafia, billionaire stories, arranged marriages, things like that. The only reason I decided to split it is because one, I feel like this video is going to be very long overall just with these, but at the same time, a lot of people do not like forbidden taboos, so that's why I'm splitting it. Keep an eye out because the next video, which is probably going to be tomorrow, is going to be that video. So if you're interested in seeing my ultimate favorite books that you need to read that are 5 stars, let's get into it. Just continue to watch. Like this video, comment down below if you have any of these books as your favorites, and subscribe. Like, I have them, but I didn't bring them down. With Rena Kent. Rena Kent is one of my favorite authors. I have all her books displayed. I love Rena Kent. We're gonna start with the first 3 books of the Royal Elite series. This is Elsa and Aiden. Aiden is my favorite from Rena Kent's universe. I love him so much. Like, he is just perfection to me. And Elsa, oh, I love it. It's a bully romance, but it's not only that. They have been connected since kids, and that's all I can really say because then the rest is spoiler. But pretty much the first day Elsa switches over to his school, he sees her and he literally goes up to her and pretty much chokes her, and he's just like, I'm gonna destroy your life. And from there we follow them and we get to see, I guess, just, you're so confused at first because you're just like, why does he hate her? Like, what's the reason? But then as you go on throughout the books, you find out what has happened in their past, and it's mind-blowing. It was so good. I loved it. I gave all of them 5 stars. Then this is, I believe, the 6th book in the Royal League series. This is Silver and Co. I love it once again. It's this plot was truly astonishing. Like, I did not expect this plot, and I can't really speak about it because it's just, there's always like a spoiler and I cannot say it. But these two, I don't want to say they were like best friends when they were kids, but they have been connected since kids, and they pretty much promised each other their first. But then things happen, their parents end up getting married, and it's technically like a step-sibling romance, but I wouldn't even say that plays into it because the plot is just insane and it overtakes all of that. Silver is the queen bitch. Like, she's been a bitch throughout the whole series, but then once you get to her book, you see what's truly going on behind the scenes. And Cole is just a quiet nerd guy, and I loved it. It was so good. I truly loved it. We have this duet. I think it's called the Throne Duet. I might be wrong, but it's Throne of Vengeance and Throne of Power. This is Kyle and Rye. I love this so much. This is technically kind of like a bodyguard romance, but not really, because Kyle was Rye's bodyguard at one point. Really liked him, and then he just disappeared. And then it's years later and he comes back and she's just like, I really hate you. You left me behind. At the same time, it kind of plays into like an arranged marriage, kind of, where her grandfather's just like, well, I think it's sort of time to marry off my actual daughter. And Rye's just like, your daughter's too young to get married. Let me do it. And then it's like their arranged marriage, and it was so good. I loved it. Book 2 kind of plays into like an amnesia trope, and it was fantastic. Legacy of God series so far, I really love God of Malice. That one is an amazing story. Check your triggers because it really starts off with the bam, and it's Glendon and Killian. Killian is a psychopath, and Glendon, honestly, Glendon was very bad for me. I kind of don't care for her. I love the story just mainly for Killian, but Killian was amazing. And Killian finds Glendon pretty much about to commit suicide, and he holds that over her, and it's a bully romance too. The whole Legacy of Gods plays into like rival schools, so it's really truly like rivals getting together, the opposite schools getting together, and it truly was just like, I love Killian. He was amazing. God of Ruin. This one as well, kind of similar things. Mia really hates Landon. Mia's also a selective mute, and Landon is a psychopath. It's pretty much similar stories, but they're still different, and if you read the whole series then you'll understand the difference. But it truly was an amazing story. Mia hated his guts, and Landon is a psychopath. He still did things like plan for her, and would you imagine a psychopath doing that? And it was truly a great time reading that book. Now I want to quickly talk about 2 books in the Calloway series. Now, quickly want to say this. I've said this before. I have not read Addicted. I will never read it. I did not like the premise of it, and for the longest time I had never read this entire series because someone told me it was necessary to read both of them, and then eventually someone was just like, no, you can read Calloway by yourself. And oh my god, thank god that person told me that, because I love Calloway. Even in Calloway, I hated Lily and Lo, which I'm not even gonna discuss that, but I just love the Calloway series so much, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about two specific books, which is ironically the second book of each of the couples. So we have Fuel the Fire, which this one, the reason I really love, it's Rose and Connor. They were like school rivals. They're extremely smart people. It's very much a fun family series, but I love Rose and Connor in this book a lot because they're in marriage at this point. They got married and they go through so much, and you just truly see their love and what a marriage is supposed to be. Like, I truly loved it for that reason, just because they were there throughout all the lows, and I loved it. It was amazing. And then book 2 from Reich and Daisy as well. Oh my god, I loved it. Long Way Down. And I really love it also because I think at this point Daisy has grown up, kind of had a very rough upbringing. Like, there's too much to explain and I can't really give it away, but the things that Reich does for her, he pretty much says like, you have a voice, use it, speak up for what you want and what you need. And it was truly just insane seeing how Daisy grew up so much and she took charge of her voice, and I loved every second of it. And then from the Born in Blood series, I have a whole video for this, so I'm not gonna go too deeply in it, but I love Book with Yellow. It was such a great book. It's mafia. It was my first mafia book physically, because I've always read on Wattpad before transitioning into this, and he was cruel. He was everything you would expect in a mafia man, and I loved it because it had romance, but it was deeply rooted into the mafia. Like, you saw so much of it. You saw the wars, you saw everything about it, and I loved it. I loved it so much. Bound by Hatred. I love this. This is Luca's brother, which is Mateo, and it's Mateo and Gianna. Gianna is the sister Arya from book 1, and it's enemies to lovers, and it truly was just amazing because Gianna and Mateo have this chemistry, and it's insane, and you get to see them like kind of start something. But Mateo is in the mafia and Gianna hates just the mafia, and it's just like, you know what, me and you are never gonna, no, it's not gonna happen. And she runs away. She literally runs away from the mafia, and Mateo chases her, and it was such a good story. We have Twisted Pride. This is technically from the Camorra Chronicles. I loved it equally. This is kind of, he kidnaps her, so it's a like a captive captor romance story, and it was so good. I can't give too much about it other than they're rival mafias, and he steals her on her wedding day, and then it's their love story, and it was so beautiful. The Sinner by Chantel. I love this book in the way that it was very crazy. A lot of people read this and they end up hating it just because it's very insane, but I loved it. In my opinion, if you have ever read The Elite's King Club by Emma Jones, I hated that series. It just, if I there's too, I'm not gonna get into it, but in my opinion, this series by Chantel, it's that but 1000% better. Like, she did it right. So it's pretty much a secret society, and it takes place in college where they get initiated, and then they get a chosen girl. It's very insane in that way. And then this chosen girl and him kind of enter either an arranged marriage or something like that. And we have Blakely, and Riot, he is very much about like, I'm here for the secret society, nothing's gonna mess this up for me. And Blakely is actually dating this other guy who is in the secret society, and he treats her like shit, and then she becomes his chosen, and it's chosen by the secret society, and he's just like, I get it. But along the way he falls in love with her, and then jealousy scenes in here were amazing. Like, he really told the ex-boyfriend at one point, like, back the fuck off, she's mine now, and I loved it. It was amazing. The next two books in the series I did not love for a couple things. Then we have Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline. I love this duet. It was really good. He stalks her. I'm pretty sure you've heard about this duet. He stalks her. It has a lot more to do with other things like sex trafficking, so please check your trigger warnings. I love book 1 the most. I give it, I think, 5 stars, I think. And then the next book I gave 3.5 just because so much of it, like 300 pages, were stuck where something happens to her, and I did not like that. I did not want to read that much of it. But other than that, it's an amazing duet. Zaid is like no other. He is really like touching your done, and it was amazing. Anna Darling. It's When Heroes Falls and When Villains Rise. I love this duet so much. It's also mafia, surprisingly, and he has a charge for murder, and he's about to get sentenced to prison, and she's his lawyer, and it's truly like an enemies to lovers. Dante is just the perfect mafia man. I cannot describe him. Like, he was so sweet, and I love that aspect of it. But then we have our heroine, and she was very much, Elena was timid. Like, she has been hurt a lot in the past, but then you get to see her finally like let her guard down and let love into her life, and I loved it. Book one was amazing, but I really truly loved book two, which I had not read in a long time. Like I didn't think it was necessary, because surely book two is kind of like a big epilogue book where it's just fluffy cute romance, and I loved it. It is the Mindfuck series. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. I love it so much. It's truly amazing. It's 5 books in one, but they're all like very short novellas, so each book is like 150 pages, so you go through it really quick. It's this girl who just went through so much as a teenager. Like her story is truly brutal, and I feel terrible when I found out everything that she went through and her family. But she's a serial killer, and she's over here getting revenge on everyone who really fucked with her and her family. Now the interesting part of this story is that along the way in book one, she kind of bumps into this guy and they really hit it off, but he's the FBI agent who's tracking her down, and it's a love story between her, the FBI agent, and her, the serial killer. And he has no idea that she is the one they're looking for, because the whole time they think that they're looking for like this 6'5" guy, when it's truly this really small girl doing all the killings. And it was so good. These books right here, Misconduct by Penelope Douglas. I love this. This is truly an amazing book. I read, and I was not expecting it, because I said this a couple times already. I have read about 180 books at this point in this year, and out of all of them, I only have loved like 12 books, like 5-star books, and that's kind of upsetting, but it is what it is. But this one took me by surprise. We have Tyler and Easton. Easton used to be like a tennis player, but now she's a teacher. And Tyler, he's running for Senate, and they meet at this party, and immediately they hit it off, and things are getting like, you know, and then they get interrupted, and he's like, next time I see you, you're gonna be mine. And she's very much like, I'm never gonna see you again. And then they run into each other 6 months later at a teacher conference where she is the teacher of his son, and it's kind of forbidden but not really, and I loved it. Every part of this book played out like a movie in my head. There's this scene, like their first scene together, if you know what I mean, and it's in the rain, and it was so beautiful. I loved it. This reminded me like of a movie. Then we have Merciless Saint. This is by Michelle Hurd. I love this book so much. Damien and Winter. He goes to this school that's just training for mafia, and he's the best. He's about to graduate. Then we have Winter. She is the daughter of like this mafia guy, and she goes to the school. It's like her first year. She's like a freshman technically, and immediately she has some trouble. Like people are trying to come for her, and Damien is just like, get out of my way, like I'm about to graduate, do not come near me. But he cannot help himself when someone attacks her, and he's just there. And then it's his graduation day, and pretty much you get contracts where like people can hire you, and he gets contracted by her dad to protect her. Immediately afterwards, it's kind of like a bodyguard romance, because it goes from enemies to lovers to a bodyguard romance. But then it kind of turns into an arranged marriage, and it sounds insane, but it was truly great, because along the way people are trying to kill her, and he's always being her bodyguard. But this series has like a found family going on. It's a friend, like a group friend, and eventually they make this this arranged marriage where they're like together. I don't know how to describe it other than that it was a fabulous book. I read this in one sitting. We have Taken by a Sinner. This one I loved. I tabbed it so much. We have Nicholas and Tessa. Kind of forbidden. It's a step-sibling romance, but her mom gets married to the mafia, like to this mafia couple in the Greek. It's Greek mafia, and immediately she runs into her new stepbrother Nicholas, and Nicholas is bound to take over the mafia, and she hates him. They hate each other. They truly hate each other. They're just like, get out of my way. And Nicholas comes up with this plan to let me get rid of her by arranging a marriage with someone. I'm getting rid of her. I do not like her. Along the way, as he's doing this, he gets very jealous, and then he's just like, you know what, actually you're gonna marry me. And it's their story, and it was so great. This is probably a favorite for everyone. The Sweetest Oblivion. I love this book so much. We have Nico and Elena. Elena is just like this, like everyone wants her, and Nico's actually engaged to her sister, but the sister, the whole time she's in her own world, she really does not care about this guy. And the first time Nico and Elena meet, they kind of hate each other, but they get on each other's nerves, and I love it. And along the way, Nico kind of starts falling for her, things happen a lot in here, and it's really funny because at one point Elena gets engaged and he's just like, you know what, he offs her guy and he's just like, I'm gonna marry you instead. Morally corrupt. This is truly a dark romance, so please check your trigger warnings. I love this. This is Bianca and we have Theo, and pretty much Bianca is a psychopath. She's also a hit woman, and she saw Theo a long time ago and she was just like stalking him, and she's just like, you're gonna be mine, that's it. And then they're married, and you start at the very beginning. There's a novella before this, like of the first interaction, and it's fine. I read it. I don't think you need to read it. And you truly get to see them, and he thinks she's this very shy woman who honestly all she does is do charity work, but actually she's over here killing people. And it's really interesting because at one point he's like in the, not in the FBI, he's like in the police workforce, and he has like mafia people coming after him, and she's just like, you're not gonna take my husband away from me. And she pretty much kills all those people. And it's interesting because along the way he finds out that she's actually a psychopath, and it was so beautiful because it's kind of like a marriage and show at the same time, because he's just like, you're a psychopath, like I don't know who you are. I feel like all these are a lot of mafia. We have Hidden Truths by Nevia Altag. I do not know how to say the last name. We have Sergi and Angelina. Sergi is truly this crazy, messed up guy. Like, he's kind of like a psychopath. He, like, his own family, it's just like when he's having episodes, stay away from him. And it's because Sergi, when he was really young, he got like contracted by the military, and they kind of used him to kill people because he, you know. And Angelina's from, I'm pretty sure, the Mexican cartel, and she's about to get an arranged marriage with this like really crazy guy. So her nanny is literally like, you're not gonna do this. So she ships her like in a crate to, I think this is Chicago, and Sergi kind of finds her along the way, and immediately he's just like, oh my god. It's like when you see like a lost puppy and you're like, let me take care of you. That was Sergi. Sergi was just like, who did this to you? Like, I'm gonna take care of you from now. And it's their love story, and I loved it. It was great. This book was really short. It's like 230 pages. You can read this as standalones. It's fine. We have Rowan Secrets. We have Isabella and Luca. I love this book so much. So Luca is, I think, bound to be the capo of the Italian mafia. And we have Isabella. And Isabella is also from the Italian mafia, but she is the granddaughter of the actual capo. And Luca has been married, he has a kid, but the grandfather has always known about Isabella's like little crush. So he arranges for Luca to find out that his wife is actually cheating on him, and then he arranges the marriage between Isabella and Luca. And Luca's just like, I've known you my whole life. It's an age gap story. I loved it. And he's just like, you know what, I'll get married to you because the couple's saying so, but other than that, no, we're not gonna be together. And then has an amnesia trope, and things change. Stolen Touches. This is Milan and Salvatore. I love this book so much. Salvatore is the capo of the New York City Familia, the Italian mafia there. And Milan is from the Chicago mafia, I think from the Italian mafia. I think she's a sister from one of the books in the series. And she hates the mafia, so she runs to New York, and she is being a nurse. And Salvatore kind of runs into her, and they hit it off. And immediately they go on dates, whatever. But then she finds out what he is, and she wants nothing to do with him. But he's just like, I like you a lot. So what does he do? He calls up Chicago, and he's like, I found someone in my property in New York City, and you did not have permission for this. And Chicago's just like, we don't want war. Like, what can we do? And he's just like, an arranged marriage. I love it. Next, we have a duet. This is Born Darkly and Born Madly. This was amazing. This duet, psychopath and his psychologist. Think about Harley Quinn and Joker. These are these books. Grayson, who is getting sentenced to life in prison, or I think actually to get killed, because he's a psychopath, like he's a serial killer. And London psychiatrist, and she kind of saves his life. And it's not only that, there's a huge plot twist in here that I did not expect, but it was truly glorious. I loved every second. Butcher and Blackbird. I read this book literally like 2 days ago, and I loved every second of it. It's two serial killers, and it's a comedy, and pretty much we have these two famous serial killers who kind of find each other, and they become best friends. and they every year they have this mission to track down another serial killer and kill him, because they kill pedophiles and just really bad people, like other bad serial killers. They only focus on that. And along the way, it's a very slow burn, but they fall in love, and I truly loved it. Like every second of this was an amazing time. I kept laughing. I actually have a reading vlog. If you want to watch it, it's a dark romance reading vlog, and it should be up already, but check it out because you'll see my reactions, and I was laughing. A Marriage for One. We have Rose and Jack, and this is pretty much the Titanic's names. I think it's even mentioned in here. It's a marriage of convenience, technically. So Rose is trying to get like this inheritance, and Jack is the lawyer, and he's just like, you know what, like I won't get married with you. They get married, and it's them doing everything backwards, because it's, I wouldn't call it enemies to lovers, but it's huge grumpy sunshine, and along the way they just fall for each other. And this is my favorite book of all time, just because you truly see what a marriage is like. I love this. Like every second of this I love. Black Ties and White Lies. This one I loved as well. This is Beckham and Margot, and Margot was dating pretty much Beckham's brother at one point, and she met him and they kind of hit it off, but she stays with the brother. And I think I don't remember, but I think at one point her and the brother break up. I don't know if he cheated on her, but then it's later on where Beckham comes to her, and he's kind of like, I need your help, like I need a marriage of convenience for this and that. And I can't remember the exact reason why she agrees, but it's their story. It's forced proximity because she moves into his apartment and he just takes care of her, and I loved every second of it. It has that thing where it's like the guys actually saw them first and they fell hard, and they did everything to make them theirs. Then we have Twisted Games by Anna Huang. I love this. This is a bodyguard romance. It was truly amazing. We have Rye and Bridget, and Bridget is this princess, and she's pretty much just in college in the US, and along the way Rye becomes her bodyguard, and it's their romance. We have Twisted Lies next. I love this book so much. Then we have Christian and Stella. Fake dating, for starters. Billionaire, and he has this security company, and Stella is the fashion designer, and where she's trying to be. She's also like a influencer. Stella lives in his building, and along the way Stella gets a lot of threats, and Christian is pretty much like, let me help you. And Stella also makes it a thing where she's really trying to grow her platform, so she pretends to start dating him, kind of like posting private pictures, whereas because they obviously fall for each other, Christian has been in love with her, and it was an amazing time. This book is The Predator, so technically it's a duet. It's the same couple, but I'm just gonna show this one as of now because I truly love this book, because Tristan and we have Morana have been connected since they were kids, and you truly find out why and everything. It's in this book specifically. In book one, it's just very much enemies to lovers. I hate you. He's just like, I'm gonna kill you one day. And Morana and him are just they're like at each other's throat. At the same time, he is in the mafia. Morana is this really smart girl, and their first interaction is her trying to kill him because she thinks that he stole like code from her. I just truly love book 2 so much, just because you get the truth behind how they actually have been connected since kids, and along the way you just see him falling for her and opening up to her, and it was an amazing thing to see this man kind of break but also like accept love. Then from the same series we have The Annihilator. This one is amazing. I keep describing this better than Zaid from Hunting and Haunting Adeline. I truly love this book. This is pretty much the same story. It deals with sex trafficking, except in this book you do not see none of the details, which I truly love. Like obviously you see like I think maybe like in one chapter, but it's nothing huge. And the reason I love this is because this man helps her heal. He gets her a house. He gets her this room in the house where it's just like you're allowed to find out all your hobbies and what she likes to do. And this man was celibate for her for like 6 years, and he saved her life, and it was truly I love this. I truly think you can read this as a standalone, but it's best to read it all together just because you get to know who she is and why she's important to the rest of the book. But yes, I would say you could read this as a standalone technically. Then we have The Maddest Obsession. I love this book so much. This one is Enemies to Lovers. It's amazing. He's in the FBI and she's kind of in the mafia. She's a mafia princess. She has had a bunch of arranged marriages, and along the way she has met Christian. And Christian is very much obsessed with her, and it's their romance story. I feel like there's so much more to the story, but I cannot truly say. I wanted to say by Monica Murphy. This one is amazing. This is Whit Lancaster, and we have Summer. And Whit and Summer have sort of been connected since they were kids as well. Dad was having an affair with her mom when they were young, so it's years later. This is very much old money. It takes place in a prep school, and he's a popular guy, and she's the new girl at school, and it's kind of like a bully romance but in the best way, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. Kisses in Your Lifetime, but you could, these are like standalones, you can read them in any order. I love this. This is actually Ren and Crow, and Crow's actually the cousin of Wit, and it's kind of the same story. He's very much obsessed with her, and it's like bad boy good girl. It was a glorious time. Like, I read this, it also takes place in the academy, like in the prep school, and you just see this man do so much for her, and you're just like, I love you. Obviously love the score by L. Kennedy. That one is amazing. And The Deal. It's talking romances. The Deal is pretty much fake dating. He's like the bad boy, and she's, I wouldn't call her the nerd, but along the way needs help to pass a class, and she tutors him, and it was a great story. I loved it, but it's kind of on the older side, but I love that. I love the score so much. It's Player, like the bad boy Player, and he ends up the best friend of the girl from book 1, and he's a player, and she wants nothing to do with him, and that kind of makes him chase her, and it was a great time. We have Moonshot. I love this book. This is by Alessandra Torre. I've talked about it, I think, at one point on my channel. This is kind of forbidden, but not extremely forbidden. I loved it. This is a baseball romance, and she's the daughter of the coach. Ty is always in the field. She's always with her dad. And along the way, we have Chase, who comes along, and he's pretty much the bad boy. Like, he has a bad reputation. And it's their love story, and it's forbidden. It's also second chance. So yes, they meet when she's a little bit younger, but then miscommunication, the thing really pissed me off. And then it's years later, and it's them finding each other again, and I loved every second of this. We have the Devil's Night series. We have 2 specific books from there. They're on display, so I'm not going to show them. We have Corrupt, and we have Kill Switch. Now Corrupt, it's a whole story. It's truly, you have to read it in order, or else you're going to be confused. But we have Erica Fane and the 4 Horsemen. We have Michael Chris, we have Kai Moore, and then we have Damon Torrance and Will Grayson III. And pretty much every Devil's Night, the night before Halloween, they do a bunch of shit around town, like breaking stuff, putting fires. It's insane. And Erica Fane one day joins them, and Erica Fane and Michael Christ are pretty much like family friends. They've known each other the whole time, and let's just say things go really bad that night, and they end up in prison, all except Michael. Now book 1 is Michael and Rika's story, and you follow them along like their first Devil's Night, and 3 years later when they're all getting revenge on her. And then Damon Torrance and Winter, which is Kill Switch. I really cannot say too much about it because it's a big spoiler. Let's just say they've been connected since they were kids, and it's truly like a soulmate story. Like, I loved it, and I just had to mention those 2 books because they're on display. I almost forgot this book, which is really important that I don't, but from ACOTAR, Ryzen, Court of Mist and Fury. Oh my god, I love that. It's Fated Mates. That's all I can really say about it. Obviously, you need to read ACOTAR, but it was truly amazing. I love Ryzen so much, and Favra, and I can't believe I almost subscribe for more videos if you're interested, and look out for the Forbidden Taboo book recommendations that I truly love, 5 stars, because it's coming up right next.